A pleasure to meet all at last, and here we are back at it once again with more HJN Season 5. As you probably know, I've talked about 5 different pet-related animals, but now I'm going to have another 5 more put together here, and we'll continue going on with this until 2740. So this is number 2735, and the next subject in line are rabbits. And it's appropriate that we do talk about this sort of thing. Mostly because, as some might know about it already, rabbits are seen as unfortunate prey. Even in my own backyard, we, believe it or not, have had some rabbit or bunny related infestations. They somehow crawl through my heavily armored fence into the yard, in which that they sometimes get chased out or even cornered by my boys. Everybody knows Chew and Cray, Yorkie Terriers, and if there's one thing that the Yorkie Terrier is known for, it's for hunting. They can hunt rats, they can hunt bunnies, they can hunt a number of different animals, or basically ward them off of someone's property, should it be necessary. But in any other case though, the bunny or rabbits, as they're pretty much more of the same thing. Unlike with tarantulas and spiders, the bunny and the rabbit, the thing is that the bunny is seen as the more adolescent term regarding a younger version of the rabbit, while the rabbit is the typical full-sized animal that's typically around this large in size, and has ears that are pretty long. Typically a very velvety sort of feel to them, much softer than that of most of the unique silky fur that's on their body. And of course there is the unique cotton palm tail that they have, which does heavily distinguish it apart from a majority of animals. Then of course there are the large 2 front teeth that sits in their mouths, typical for biting into somewhat tough objects, including some of their own food. One of the more common things that rabbits are known to eat are carrots, and they seem to be one of the biggest choices in order to feed a carrot to. If there's any animal you could feed a carrot to, it would very much be a rabbit. And there has been a bit of a prior history of rabbits entering a little garden that we once had and we grew vegetables out of. And oh man, the rabbit population was insane. There were 23 of them, as I recall, one day. And it was tough getting them off the property because they kept munching on the vegetables. Not just the carrots, but there were also the beets, the jalapenos, and the eggplants. Even the pumpkins were no match for the might of the unique teeth of the rabbits. But let's be real here. Even though that garden is long gone, that doesn't mean that they haven't stopped coming into the yard for a number of activities in which that Chew and Cray seem to be the only answer to in order to ward them off the property, or at the very least, corner them and ensure that they do not bother coming any further towards this house. But you know what though? Apart from them being kind of a problem, especially if you live out near the wild, like in the forest or something, in which that they're mostly abundant, like the jackrabbit or the jackalope, which is a bit more elusive than most of the other lagomorphic species, such as the rabbits itself. The thing is that while rabbits have a somewhat diverse diet, with carrots sometimes being seen as the common choice for feeding them, in the ideas of having them as pets, they sure do offer a lot of entertainment and are seen as some of the most adorable things you could ever imagine. There's a good amount of videos that I remember over the years in which that people are especially known for handling the rabbits, but most importantly, the rabbits produce a unique screaming noise whenever they're picked up or mishandled or backed into a corner, like I've said, by Chew and Cray. They'll often produce a loud scream that could be heard for some distance away, and I kid you not, in some instances in videos that I've seen where the rabbits are screaming, they are pretty hilarious. I remember one guy picking up a rabbit in 2011, and in the video, the rabbit was screaming almost like a person, and it was priceless. Even the guys in the video were laughing at it. So 14 years later, a tradition just continues. The rabbits tend to make that sort of unique screaming noise whenever something happens to them, and let's be real, many of them are pretty horrible. Creatures that just are very much like pests. Like with the rats and the mouses and the insects and stuff. Rabbits are kind of not much different than most others that we've seen that are negative to most of our livelihoods. But still, that doesn't deter everybody from coming to them, seeing them as adorable, taking them as pets, and I've had a few friends, believe it or not, that had rabbits as their own pets just as well. So, one guy I know, the rabbit's name was Thumper. Yep, Thumper. The reason being is because he was so heavyweight that every time he was let alone to run around inside the house, he would thump on the floor, and it was kind of funny. The way that he was almost limping on his right leg and stomping on the floor like that. That was pretty funny to watch back then, but I can't say Thumper's around today because it's probably not true. Unlike some that I know are still around, thankfully, after so many years of not seeing them. But here's the thing. Rabbits are another unique choice. Watch Mojo even says that it's a no-brainer and considers the rabbit as the #1 choice for pets. Yeah, when you got a source like Watch Mojo clarifying them as some of the most popular pets in the world, then you know you're going somewhere. But contrary to the conflicting thoughts and actions of other people in which that they clarify that, well, it is true, rabbits are known to destroy some crops and take them for themselves. Like I said, I once had a garden in my backyard that was sabotaged constantly by pests, such as rabbits. They were pretty easy to get in through our fences, but I had managed to rig the fences so that they can be more tough and a lot more difficult to access, inside or outside. Think of it like a quarantine protocol, but for animals, because we can easily traverse those fences by climbing over it, while they cannot. Anyways, though, I've said a lot about the rabbits, or the bunnies, or the lagomorph. But the thing is, there's a lot more to talk about regarding pets. So, while I have more choices to look after, if you want to see more go down on my channel, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side.